Welcome back to another episode of Spittin Hoops. This is episode 35, and I'm here with my co-host Anthony, who I've given up on trying to point which direction he's at. Anthony, how we doing?
Hi Max, how we doing? Happy Kevin Durant episode.
Happy Kevin Durant episode.
So 35,
Oh,
where the
yeah,
man played his best basketball.
big shout out. Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting to be
Bang!
discussing Kevin Durant this quickly. But I guess it is a trade deadline episode, so maybe you could have assumed his name was going to come up, but it's probably not till the very end. Today, we're going to be discussing trades, trade rumors, some big news that we actually got right before the podcast started. And then we're also going to be discussing all-star ballots and some recent storylines that have been coming up, including the MVP. Tony, you got anything to say before we get into all these trades and some of the Pascal Siakam news?
Dude, I'm just ready. Like, this just dropped.
Yeah, this literally just dropped maybe 45 minutes before we hit the record button. Shams tweets out that the Pacers and the Raptors are in deep talks surrounding Siakam with Bruce Brown, and 3 first-round picks going the other way. The other players discussed outside of that is kind of unclear, but this is kind of an interesting update. Earlier today, actually, there were rumors that the Pacers had offered Buddy Hield, Bruce Brown, and 1 first-round pick for Siakam, which obviously was not accepted, or else the trade would have gone through, right? And there was also like continued reports that Siakam is not willing to commit to a team long term. I mean, even if you trade for him, that probably does raise your odds of re-signing him because you can re-sign him and pay him so much in the offseason. But that is a hesitancy with a lot of teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Love this for Indiana. I think this is a great move. That's an all-star level player that they just didn't have. I think he's better than Miles Turner. So I think you put that duo in the front court and they're gonna be tough. I don't have Siakam's defensive plus minus. Like, I don't know if he's a plus or minus defender, but that's an area where they've really struggled with. So if they can have another big body to help in the interior, I think that's going to be huge. I love this move for the Pacers. I think it keeps them. I think they really want to stay out of the play-in zone if they can. We've seen so many times all these teams that are up and coming. The Cavs a couple of years ago. I think even the Thunder last year, they are playing really well. They can make the playoffs, and then they make it to play in, and then they fizzle out. So this could be a push for them to kind of make it to that next level. So good trade for them. And if you got a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, why would you necessarily want to leave? I don't think the free agent market for Siakam right now is absolutely massive. It's not like he can, opt to go anywhere. But overall, pretty good move.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to be clear that like this is Shams tweeting, and he didn't say this is final, which always makes me a little sus. It makes me wonder if the Raptors are feeding this, and if the Raptors are like, we're about to take this, we're taking last offers or something like that. So I don't want to assume just yet that it's done. If this does go through, I mean, the Pacers do get way better,
Yeah.
obviously. And you're finally pairing Miles Turner up with someone who's like an elite player who can play on the perimeter. Sabonis was an elite player that they were paired up with in the front court, but he's not really a perimeter player, if you will, right?
Right. And I mean, yeah, I mean, to your point, I think Siakam can shoot it, even though he hasn't been shooting it amazing this year. Like, he can stretch the floor in a way that's very complimentary to Miles Turner. So I think it looks good. I think it just adds to their overall ceiling a little bit. So maybe now they're in the could they get to the second round kind of conversations. But yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, I think that overall though, like Siakam's definitely going to be a good fit here if it goes through, and it's probably a good move. I do kind of just question the idea that you're going to buy in on a 30-year-old when Halliburton's still young, guys like Miles Turner, etc., they're still pretty young, right? So if you're buying on a 30-year-old, you're kind of expecting to win and win pretty quickly at that. So that just makes me a little nervous.
Yeah. He is a young 30-year-old. He still is 29.
Yeah,
So
about
I
to be. He'll be 30
yeah.
once his max contract kicks in, right? if he
Yeah.
decides to sit in the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like you're buying into a 4-year window, or 5-year window. So what are you going to do with this kind of player? Can Tyrese become a good enough point guard that you can have if you can go get one more guy and Tyrese can become that guy? That seems like the path that they're looking at right now. Um, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Other rumors that have been floated out include like Dallas, Golden State, Sacramento.
Yeah.
Obviously Sacramento was super interested, and we got one of these type tweets from
Right.
Shams about Sacramento 2 weeks ago, right? So never know what's gonna happen until it's final, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't count out Dallas or Golden State. I don't like Dallas has no reason to not be in discussions to for upgrades like these, considering they won't have cap space regardless. So they just might as well try to make a trade here. Um, they don't have a ton of first round picks left, but I don't know. I kind of like the fit with Dallas and Siakam. Siakam playing as a perimeter guy next to Lively, um, off ball from Luca. I would really like that. Will it happen? Probably not.
Probably not.
I think it'll probably come down to Pacers or Golden State. That feels like the two biggest links, and it'll probably be Indiana at this
I
point.
think it's done, bro. I think they posted the Athletic article about it. I don't know if they did that with Siakam and the Kings.
I'm pretty sure we got a
Okay.
big athletic article about it. We got a Shams on FanDuel Live.
Bro, Sham's got to chill with all this. Then he can't be get if I think this is done, but if it's not, then I think it's really good for Dallas. I agree with you. Because now their bigs are kind of those questions get answered. For Golden State, I don't know if it answers a lot of those questions. I think there's more of a fundamental issue that's going on in Golden State, and so,
Yeah,
but
Golden State's two trades away, I think.
right, right,
And also Golden State trying to win a chip. Indiana, even if you get second rounded this year after a Siakam trade, that's not a loss.
right.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. And
so
then Dallas is kind of in that middle zone.
yeah, that's why I don't hate the Dallas fit. I kind of like I honestly really like the fit next to Kyrie and Luca. But they probably need someone more defensive minded at this point. But
Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of feels like this is I think unfortunately hypothetical, but
yeah,
yeah.
we'll see. I will say if this trade goes through, this will probably like chances are this will be the biggest trade that we see in trade season. I mean,
Mm.
um, what Siakam's a guy who's been a two-time All-Star. He's averaged 20 points per game for the last 5 years straight. NBA champion.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
was he most improved player? 2018? Something like that. But regardless, if he gets traded also, I don't know what Masai just refused to trade all these guys for like 4 years, and then it was like, oh, Van Fleet walked for nothing, and now he's like, oh, we have to get something out of it. It's like we could have found a middle ground here. I don't know.
Where they do what?
What?
Where they do what?
I mean, they could have found a middle ground where it was like maybe Siakam got moved a year ago or OG,
Oh, yeah.
and
Like why did they wait?
maybe Van Fleet gets moved before that too. Like, why do we have
Mhm.
to wait all these out? I don't know.
Yeah. It is kind of brutal, especially because of like the bright future around Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, but also, as much as we're saying that, it does kind of feel like the right time to turn over the franchise to Scotty Barnes. So
Yes.
maybe they just timed it well and it all worked out, and they're gonna get 4 first round picks, Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett to build around Scotty Barnes. It's like cool.
Damn. We the North, man.
They're gonna be fun to watch. It's honestly gonna be great. And they're gonna be long.
They have been fun. Um, they've been fantastic to watch. They had a great game against the Lakers a few nights ago, and I think quickly Barrett and Scotty all put up like 22. So it looks very well balanced.
Yeah, and honestly, they don't even need to be that good this year. I believe they have their own 1st round pick. They'll be able to add a lottery pick just like they had last year with Grady Dick.
Yeah.
They're set. They're honestly in a really good spot. They could even cash out someone like Dennis Schroeder if they really wanted to, but it's like, what's the point? Especially when you have him on a 2-year contract. Um,
Washington Wizards, please take notes. This is how you
Yeah. Well, it helps when you draft Scotty Barnes and you're not drafting Rui Hachimura and Denny
Yeah.
Buendia every year,
Yeah.
right?
Well, watch out for the
Um,
ball.
yeah. Moving on.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this. This is tier one. This is the big names, by the way. I don't know if I went over the fact that we have a tier system to this. So Pascal Siakam, first name in tier one, the big names. Name number two. We're gonna move on to Zach LaVine. This is an interesting one. Really good player, but he's set to be paid something like 100 million over the next 2 years. There's a lot of continued reports that his market's really limited, but he's honestly looked really good when he's played. It's like this weird situation where like if you're buying him, you really got to believe that he puts you over the top, and I don't think any teams believe that. Mostly linked to the Lakers at this point. Do you really like that fit, Anthony?
I mean, yeah, yeah. I think he's also a two-time All-Star. He seems like a plug and play kind of player. I like him a lot. He gets injured too much. I don't think the 50 is fine. Whatever, eat it. Like I think there's a lot of good teams out there, and I think we had this conversation when we talked about the Bulls. Could he be a third option for some championship teams? I do think he could be a third option. Um, so I kind of like it, especially if you're a team with scoring for the Lakers, bro. I think it helps a lot of questions because he can make off the dribble threes by himself, right? He can really spread the floor out for LeBron and AD to do work. Like that pick and roll with Zach LaVine as a cutter or a shooter or just a playmaker with Austin Reeves on the other side. Like that's actually kind of crazy. I don't know who they trade, but
I mean, let me. I got a fake trade for you. I mean, in a hypothetical world, they could go D'Lo, Hachimura, and like some guy at the end of the bench for Levine. And it's like, do the Bulls want picks? Probably.
mhm,
Maybe just one. But if you
that's
give up
all.
a fit, if you give up a pick, you really don't have any left.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, you'd be going for it.
you'd be going for it, and you're kind of saying, okay, guys like Torian Prince and Cam Reddish are gonna have to be good enough to play 15 minutes a game. Now, like they're not gonna have to play 25 like they were before because Zach LaVine will be there, right? But
Hmm.
um I think that's kind of the worry there.
Yeah. I just don't think that there's much of an alternative option here. Like, because Gabe Vincent, we don't know what's going to happen with him. Dude, honestly, every 3-point shooter that's good just goes to the Lakers and they're trash. And then you go to the Bucks and you're Malik Beasley, and then you turn
Yeah.
into 47% from three. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And Levine is just a qualified shooter, qualified scorer. Not amazing defensively, but he holds up. He's not a minus defender like some of these other
Mhm.
stars.
Big guy, long guy.
Yeah. Um,
So,
Actually, you kind of talked me into this. I really like the idea of like LeBron running point. It's like he's flanked by like Reeves, Levine, and then you can play someone like Vanderbilt maybe next to
mhm.
AD. That's
Right.
the thing. Vanderbilt kind of gets screwed over in a lot of these lineups just because the offense is just not there. If
Yeah.
he's not great and there's other guys who aren't great next to him, but
He's one of the few. I mean, this is a tangent, but like Vanderbilt with the Lakers is one of those. It feels like an Andre Roberson with the Thunder, where you're playing 4-on-5 on offense. Um, so
it's like
then
a
you,
little bit better than that. But yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like a
Well,
little.
he can cut and he can dunk, but dude travels like he's hopping all over the world. Like it's a problem. But yeah,
Cool.
they look good. Can
Next
they make that?
question.
Yeah,
I
go
got a
ahead.
next question. Should the Bulls even move him? DeMar DeRozan is expiring at the end of this year. They probably won't re-sign him, and maybe they'll even trade him. We'll get to that later. But Kobe White's looked really good, and honestly, they've seemingly been able to play a little bit of Levine, Kobe White, and DeMar on the court at the same time, and it's not looked that bad. Um,
Right.
if you move him, like what's the end game? What's the end game if you bring in D'Lo and Hachimura?
Well, exactly. It's not a great, it's probably not the best trade for the Bulls. Uh,
Yeah. And you'd
unless-
have to really be like, okay, this relationship soured. But
yeah,
I kind of think they're just not going to be able to trade him, maybe.
right. Because you need assets, you need a younger guy. I mean,
Hachim, Hachimura and D'Lo are basically like I don't want to say they're negative assets, but they're definitely not like guys you can flip for multiple firsts or something.
yeah, you just kind of know who they are at this point as well.
It's
Yeah,
not
you
like
can't,
it's not Drew Holiday coming back in the Dame Lillard trade, you
right.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's not even like Malcolm Brogdon coming back from the Drew Holiday trade.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It's not like
Um,
Quentin Grimes is going to be coming back in the Malcolm Brogdon trade.
Sheesh. Damn.
That's for later too.
That's not year one.
But yeah, we'll see.
Um,
I'm not super sold that he'll get moved, but I would love to see the Heat just like say Kyle Lowry, I'm sorry, we want a little bit more offense. We're gonna go like I don't know, go get Zach LaVine. Or like even the Warriors. I mean, the most fun trade is like pretty much Klay Thompson for Zach LaVine straight up, but like that would never happen like at all.
right. Like, what would be the point?
Yeah. But like I would love to see it. It won't happen.
Hmm.
Um, moving on, a trade that actually might happen is revolving around DeJounte Murray. In my personal opinion, he might be the best player slash situation to trade for in this class. He makes under 30 mil up until 2027, 28. He's only 27 years old. He's been linked to just about anyone at this point. The Knicks, the Heat, the Warriors, the Spurs. Um, the Hawks blowing it up is kind of an interesting twist that seems like it's going to happen. We haven't even seen a trade from them, so we don't really know that. But all signs are kind of pointing to DeJounte Murray getting moved.
Yeah, it just didn't work. It's a tough experiment, but
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Quinn Schneider's there too, so I think they're more willing to. It's not a situation where they're going to fire Quinn Schneider before they trade DeJounte Murray. I think they'd rather trade DeJounte Murray, especially now when you have Jalen Johnson, who's this good, this quick,
yeah,
right? Like that gives you the ability to do a trade like this after having spent assets to get DeJounte.
right. Yeah.
Um,
Wait, did Jalen? No, 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 no. Oh, okay. Where did the Jalen Johnson? Do you know where that draft pick came from?
I have no idea.
Yeah, because that was he's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that might have been their own pick, frankly, like
Okay.
2 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
good for them.
Um, on
Yeah,
DeJounte, my favorite landing spot for this would be the Knicks. Like, instead of like Donovan Mitchell at the shooting guard slot, I think DeJounte Murray would potentially make more sense. Um, does that put them over the top? No, but I just think it would be extremely fun. They basically have like four guys who are like top 40 players in the NBA, 45 players,
mhm.
and they would just go to war and try to beat other teams with the power of friendship.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it also answers one of their biggest weaknesses, which is their front court defensively. Or sorry, their backcourt defensively. I mean, in OG Anunoby helps for sure, but now you can have two guards that are all-star level caliber, and then you have OG as well. So you really get like that 2-3 swing player position locked the fuck up.
It's not like a Donovan Mitchell defensive situation. Like DeJounte Murray, as much as he's not been the all NBA defender that he was at the beginning of his career, like he's a better defender than Donovan Mitchell. Like,
Yeah, he's a plus defender.
yeah,
Um, there was also the talk of him potentially going back to the Spurs, which would be absolutely nuts.
I
They
would
get
love that.
they get their three first back from that trade originally, and they also get DeJounte Murray. um,
I don't hate that. I honestly think that would be super fun.
yeah,
I
that'd
don't
be
think
cool.
DeJounte would like it, but
Yeah, 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 right. I think we talked about this trade, like who are you getting back in that? I guess maybe you're getting some of those first round picks back. Um,
maybe
but
like depending on how the Hawks value like someone like Sochan, do you go like here's Sochan, Zach Collins, and like three firsts for DeJounte?
yeah,
Honestly, that Hawks probably do that. I don't think the thing is if you're the Spurs, like what's the point? Like as much as it would be awesome to bring DeJounte and pair him up with Wemby, like right now, why do you gotta rush it? I don't know. Rush
timelines.
it in free agency.
Mhm.
Don't give up assets to rush it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that'll be a big name to I think he could be a big needle mover for a lot of teams.
I do think it'd be not to talk about my Warriors again. I think it'd be really fun on the Warriors as like a Wiggins replacement. And you basically tell Clay that like Clay, you're too slow to guard a shooting guard. We just need you to guard threes and we'll figure it out. Have DeJounte there at the two, covers a little bit more for Steph, who has looked even worse defensively than someone like Clay. I don't know. It'd be fun. If Siakam goes to the Pacers, I mean the Warriors have to do something or it's yikes.
You send back Wiggins, Kuminga, and a pick.
Two? Two picks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just like the CP3 expiring, which the Hawks can just instantly cut him. You go,
Right.
here's CP3, Pajemski, as much
Mm,
as I mean, because that's the
mm.
thing, like you've got a lot of these guys. It depends on who the Hawks are interested in, right? But you could pull
Ooh,
something together.
I mean, that might be the one you hold on to till the end. And you're like, all right, fine. We'll
Yeah.
toss in Brando.
Right. So, but I mean, if Siakam's gone, you gotta start moving, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So we'll see what happens there. For the last two guys in this section, the tier one, I just want to talk about some guys who have been rumored before to be possibly moved. Um, but that probably won't be moved as we come closer to the deadline. Lauri Markkanen, if he hit the trade block, he'd probably become the highest valued player on the market. He's 26 years old, second to last year of a 4 year, $70 million total contract. So he's getting paid less than $20 million a year on his current contract. 25, 9, and 2, 50% from the field, 40% from three. It is he just in rumors for wishful thinking? Do we all just wish we had Lauri Markkanen and that's why he's in rumors?
Yeah. Are we all just mad that the Utah Jazz are just deciding to have him be the best player on their team?
Which he fully has shown he can be.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think people are mad. I don't know. Like if something develops, I'll like, definitely have more thoughts about this. But on the surface, there's so many teams that would jump at for this guy, right? Like you get a full year of him relatively cheap, you can go sign another great player on top of getting this guy. Um, and I mean, the Jazz would require a haul back. So maybe rumors for this keep heating up. But I don't know. Has he even talked about not being happy in Utah?
And it's like it's not like they've made a really high draft pick. There's not like someone else who's ready to like take the franchise by storm here. Like
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like if you trade Lauri Markkanen, like what do you have?
Right.
Nothing. You have Keontae George. I mean, shout out, he's pretty good, but like
Yeah.
he's
But
pretty good. AKA right now he's like a lower than average NBA player.
yeah,
Like
he's a solid rookie.
yeah. Continuing dead rumors, Donovan Mitchell. We got a report on January 15th that Donovan Mitchell is just planning to ride out this season. He's in year three of a 5 year, $163 million max contract. He does have a player option in year five, so he can become a free agent at the end of next season. I don't think the rumors really will heat up with him until the like after the deadline. But if it looks like he's gonna bolt, it would not surprise me to see Cleveland sell on him quickly in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of teams he'd look good for. I think he'd fit the mold of a lot of teams that Zach LaVine would fit well on. Sort of that hole in it. I mean, I really want to see him stay in Cleveland. I
Yeah.
want to see him play out his like, okay, you got out of Utah because you didn't like it. So go be the man in Cleveland now. You have a good team. Go make some noise. Let's see if you can make the second round. Um, but I mean, I think he'd look good on a lot of teams, of course. But just I don't know. We keep hearing about Donovan Mitchell, and it's not enough for basketball.
I think the Heat is an amazing fit for him, first of
Yeah,
all.
bro.
Like I think just as like a one for one replacement for Tyler Hero, as good as Tyler Hero has been, give him credit.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially how well Spoelstra has been able to hide 6'3" to 6'1" defenders historically. Yeah, it would be nice if you could just ride this out and actually hope that they built something around him. But in my opinion, the Cleveland front office should show a little bit more urgency. Like this group has clearly not shown that it's good enough to compete for a championship, which it's that's what it's going to need to keep Donnie Mitchell around Cleveland. You know,
Right.
um, I'd love to see them trade Jared Allen, hand the keys over to Evan Mobley. Obviously, now Evan Mobley got hurt, can't do that. Right. So it's like it's a little bit of a tough situation. I think inevitably we're probably gonna hit the off season and Donnie Mitchell is gonna tell Cleveland like if you don't if you don't trade me, like I'm just bolting an FA, you know.
Mm. And he looked good in Miami. That would be an amazing consolation prize for Dame.
I know by then, I mean the Spurs will have cap space and then Wemby will actually be really good. Like, you know, as much as like waiting sounds nice if you're Cleveland, oh, he'll change his mind. If anything, waiting to me might just get Donovan Mitchell to talk himself into, oh, I can hit free agency and dictate the market, you know? Um, if he
Right.
does hit free agency, though, he'll make less money than if he gets traded. So I think he'll ask for a trade.
Next season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Um, with that, tier two potential difference makers. We'll go a little bit faster through this section. Kyle Kuzma, we got this report on January 15th. The Wizards want to move him, but what's his value? His value set at multiple first round draft picks. Currently, he just signed a 4-year, $90 million contract before
Mhm.
the season. The rumor was that the Kings had also made him an offer at the time, and he went with this one. Um, Honestly, not a terrible contract when you consider like contracts like DeAndre Ayton, Gordon Hayward, Jordan Poole. Those guys all make more money than him. But where does he slot in on a championship team or a high-end contender for you, Anthony?
I mean, so he's won a chip as a fifth best player on a team. Every
Fourth?
game's fourth or third, even third best player on the
Yeah.
team every once in a while.
Yeah.
So I think he could be again. It depends on the quality of the team, but if you look at Philadelphia, is he the third best player on a championship team? If you look at Milwaukee, is he the third best player on a championship team? If you put him in the Heat offense, is he the third best player on a championship team? So seems like that could be where he's at. He's a better version of the guy he won a ring. I think and the money, like you're saying, it's a great deal. It's a very good deal. Um, not it's no Laurie Markkinen for 4 for 70, which is absolutely nuts. But he look good. Where would you say or he could be? I don't know for a high end good team.
I really like the idea of him going back to the Kings. Actually, like
Mm,
just upgrade Harrison Barnes. I think they play actually really similarly, Harrison Barnes
yeah.
and Kyle Kuzma, weirdly. They're both not amazing defenders. They both shoot the ball pretty well percentage wise, but the percentages and the point totals always look better than the actual, on-court product.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, just Davion Mitchell, Harrison Barnes, and a first or two for Kyle Kuzma. And honestly, if you're the Wizards, if you can get two firsts for Kyle Kuzma, I think they probably do it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you're the Kings, you kind of get off of the Harrison Barnes contract, 3 years, 52 million, signed last offseason. So, I think that's interesting.
I mean, the Wizards aren't going anywhere with Cal Kuzma, so what value can you get back? If I'm the Wizards, I'm asking for a bit more than that, but yeah, I mean, he fits in really well for the Kings. You love that trade.
I just can't believe it didn't happen in the offseason. It
Yeah.
feels like the Kings got there, honestly.
Hmm.
Another team I did like before, um, uh, was just like I like the Pacers fit there, like just the whole no defense. We're just gonna score a lot, and I like the idea of like the Pacers could hypothetically just go, we'll give you one first, Matherin, Neesmith, and like someone else for Kuzma. And they're just consolidating assets at that point. They're not giving up too much to go from these young guys to Kuzma, but
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It also that would never happen. The Pacers are just gonna sit on their young guys as they should.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on to another player of the same vein, Jeremy Grant,
Mhm.
originally rumored to be staying in Portland, but there's the rumors are starting to heat up again. Just signed a 5-year, $160 million contract before the season. Been pretty good this year.
Mm.
41% from three, 21 points per game. And they actually traded for him 2 years ago for a Bucks first round pick in 2025, which is a pretty good trade, honestly. That return on value. Uh, Anthony, do you think he'll get traded? Like, do you think they have an incentive to sell now?
I think it's a little less about if they can sell and if somebody can buy, because this is a crazy expensive contract for a guy that is pretty
That is
friggin'
fair.
mid, who's pretty tier two. Um, but he's a solid defender. I think he's a plus defender. He can score at any point. He can create his own shot. So again, that's another guy that a lot of teams might look at and say, maybe he could be our third or fourth best player on a chip team. Um, so maybe you have a rich owner who wants to go out and spend some money on this guy. Um, we'll see. I mean, I think the Siakam domino really might have knocked over a lot of other stuff. So there might be more coming up. We might have some emergency pods to hop on soon.
I'm not gonna lie, the Jeremy Grant thing feels like whoever is the console, like whoever strikes out on Siakam is gonna feel like, okay, we can just go get Jeremy Grant. He gives us 95% of Siakam. They
Mhm.
play pretty similarly, like etc. Like, and then also when you compare the contracts, Jeremy Grant's contract is pretty big, but whatever Siakam is gonna re-sign for, you would hope is gonna be just as big of a contract too.
Mhm.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I do think you're right. That'll be a domino, but I think you're gonna have to go get him from Portland. Like Portland's not gonna give him to you for a first.
Yeah.
Like the Warriors aren't going CP3 is expiring and one first round pick
No.
for Jeremy
Yeah.
Grant. The Portland's just gonna go, what's the point? We just might as well sit on him.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Like,
Yeah. We can trade him next year.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on. Another player in big rumor mill, Chicago. As Russo, big career year and everyone wants him, but it kind of looks like he's untouchable according to recent reports. But he's basically just played himself off of the trade block. Chicago wanted to blow it up, right? He's played the most minutes he has in a minute, 50% from the field, 41% from three. I think he's top five in deflections and steals or something like that. So deflections and charges taken. He's top five in both, which is kind of crazy. Um, but he's in the second to last year of a 4-year, $9 million contract. He hits age 30 next year. Um, I'd love to see him get moved to contender.
Yes, please. Right here. Celtics. Uh,
Where does that slot in?
where does that slot in?
Like,
How does
what
that trade work?
are you looking? Is that a Peyton Pritchard replacement? Is that in addition to? Is that
Replacement for sure.
okay?
Um, because he handles a lot of depth questions. Great shooter, which fits our mold, and a great defender off the bench, which is something that we really desperately need. Um, and then just kind of gets into that three guard rotation with White and Holiday, which it would be crazy. So this is something I would definitely salivate over. And he's older, and he has championship pedigree.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, like you're saying, because of his career year, the Bulls would want a haul back,
yeah.
a
And
relative haul.
a relative haul. I think they would want two firsts to start like discussions. Like that would be like, and
Yeah.
that's pretty steep. I mean, when you think about the fact that like two first probably gets you Zach LaVine, but
Right.
just due to the contract situation, he's got an extra year in his contract. You
Mhm.
don't have to give up very much to match his salary. I
Right.
mean, you could just do Pritchard for Caruso straight up and just add first.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and like that would just be however many firsts the Bulls are asking for.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I would love it. I also think it'd be fun on the Mavs. Just that would be that 3 guard rotation as well, where they all do kind of three different things.
Uh-huh.
That'd be fun.
And a
But
good defensive like player in the backcourt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Another Bulls player on the market, DeMar DeRozan, expiring contract. He addressed the trade rumors last month. He was basically like, my priority is to be here. He's in the last year of a 3-year, $81 million contract, so he's getting paid 20 mil plus. He's turning 35 years old next year, but he's still averaging 20 points per game, as he always does.
Mm.
I'd love to see him get moved. I actually think the more I think about this and the more we talk this through, it feels like DeRozan it makes the most sense to move him. But does anyone want DeRozan? And is anyone going to give you multiple firsts if they feel like they're not going to keep him after this year?
Mm. Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's for some reason it keeps coming back to LA, but Lakers, yeah, he's old, but he's more durable than Zach LaVine. Um, Resign on a relatively cheaper deal. Might he want to? I don't know. I mean, I think this would look good. I mean, this is the question we've been having the whole year. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are such similar caliber, sort of mold of player that they could both get traded. They both probably still should. I think we're in the same spot that we were before. They probably both should get traded,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of teams would do really well. I think Golden State would do really well with the DeRozan type.
Oh,
Um,
that's kind of interesting. I didn't really consider that.
a lot of teams. The
Wouldn't have
Heat,
to give up much.
right? Yeah. So, right, there is that question about where he is in the contract versus Levine and age and everything like that. But um, I think if you're the Bulls, like you might as well go for it because right now where you're not like there's some better parts. I think Kobe White has
He's
been
looked
really
great.
good.
He's looked
He's looked
great.
so good. So that's been a high point. I think Caruso, you probably want to do, like you said, if this is a career year, you probably want to get your most value out of this. So I'm still in the boat of like they got to blow this team up if they can. Um, Keep some good guys, get your value back, but like it's not like you're in a championship. So
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's pretty clear that like guys like Vucevic are probably not netting you back a ton of
right,
value in a deal. I could see him getting moved. We're probably not going to talk about him. I could see that,
yeah,
but we weren't just going to run down and talk about the whole Bulls roster.
we don't need to talk about Vooch.
Yeah,
But DeMar's a hooper, bro. Like teams want a guy like that if you're good.
yeah. I mean, what's going to happen is if at any point the Bulls go like, yo, we'll take a protected first for DeRozan, like the Heat are just going to swoop in and they'll just be like, screw it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Like some team like that.
Mhm.
Tier three. Moving on. The rotation fixers. Number one, Tyus Jones, recently acquired from the Grizzlies. But a lot of contenders are interested. Not a spectacular player, but he's great game manager. Sorry, who can come in and really make a difference. He was in the whole Porzingis Smart three-team trade in the offseason, but he is expiring this season at the end. Final year of a 2-year, $29 million contract.
Mhm.
Um, Depending on the D'Lo situation, I kind of like the idea of pulling some three-team trade where the Lakers get Tyus Jones and something back for D'Lo.
That would look good. I was thinking about the Nuggets might be a solid team for him.
Ooh, like a Reggie Jackson interchangeable thing where they could pick
Hmm.
from.
Yeah, help out with their bench a little bit, kind of fortify that. Like, because like you're saying, he's a great game manager, and I feel
Mm.
like Jokic does really well with those high IQ game managers. Like
Well, I mean, he really should go to San Antonio.
dude, that'd be so funny.
I mean, he like to be honest, he'd average like 12 assists a game.
You just got the Jones twins out there going crazy.
That would be lit. That would be lit. Honestly, they'd get traded for each other though. At this
Yeah,
point, that's probably what would
they
happen.
can high five each other on the plane ride.
See you, buddy.
We're
Tyus would be like, good luck in Washington, brother.
Get ready to learn how to speak politics, buddy.
Yeah, for real. New rumors though, kind of exciting to me. Quentin Grimes on the block. Recent rumors saying that the Knicks are shopping him for facilitating help behind Jalen Brunson. Not exactly surprising that they're looking for facilitating help behind Jalen Brunson after the Quickly trade, but surprising that they would shop Grimes for it. He's kind of their youngest guy. Like this is the end of the Knicks youth if they trade Quentin Grimes. He's the youngest rotation player on the roster. Him, McBride, and Precious Achua are the only guys under 25 on the 25 active man on the 15 active man roster. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't trade him just based off all that. If you're pairing him up in the Fournier contract and you're making a big upgrade, that's a different discussion. But if I'm not doing Quentin Grimes for Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And also, I mean, he's a good young player. And
Yeah.
I don't know, minutes and Tom Thibodeau has always been a weird thing for me. Like he's just a lot of guys, but like a lot of guys just end up sitting on the bench. So I don't know. I kind of like him. I think he was good in some moments in the playoffs, especially. I thought he really stood out towards the end of the year last year. And if they get an injury, he's going to be a good replacement. So I don't necessarily think that they need to go ahead and get another guy that like they're not. I mean, yeah, they're in win soon mode, but they're not yet in win now mode. So like, who are you asking for?
Okay, situation though. What if you have Utah that goes, hey, we got Jordan Clarkson. He's signed for a few years. We're willing to give him to you, but we're gonna need Grimes, Fournier's contract, and one first.
Yeah, I mean, if a team comes to you with a guy like Jordan Clarkson, you might want to pull the trigger. I feel like
It's
Jordan
so tough still though, like I
Clarkson,
agree, but
yeah, and he's like an older version of Emmanuel quickly in a way, where
more
great,
refined a little bit.
yeah, definitely more refined, not the best defensive player.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
kind of goes back into hurting their backcourt. But in terms of their offensive output when they need it, which is what they really struggle with, honestly, last year against Cleveland, that would be very helpful. So, yeah, if you can get a good spark plug, that might be the move. Um, but I do like Grimes.
Yeah, and I wonder if Miles McBride kind of just fixes this problem by continuing to drop 20 points per game like he has over the last 5 games. So I think Miles McBride, if he continues to play well and they hand him kind of that third guard spot, I guess second guard spot. I don't even know. The guard situation's weird there, but Dante DiVincenzo, you've been really good. Shout out. But Miles McBride, he's taking up a lot of minutes now, and if he continues to play well, and they don't feel like they have to go get or don't have the minutes to go get another guard, that just might save Grimes' job, which is pretty fun. Um, Shout out Miles McBride. He's been really good, frankly.
Dude,
Um,
another team real quick is that could look good is maybe you want like a younger team. Like what about a Houston?
ooh, like if Houston went like Jock Landale and Jeff Green.
That would be crazy.
For
Um, yeah, I guess because I mean they have so much youth. Like they could give some youth back, for some defensive prowess, but in their guard spot, I don't know. That's just like a team I floated out, but
I mean, I'd love to see Tyus go to New York just because I think he's
Mhm.
a great backup point guard, but that just becomes a redundant player. You just can
Right,
never play him next to Brunson.
right, yeah, he'll go to playing 15 minutes a game.
Yeah, which is just what he was in Memphis. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. Um, Moving on. More Knicks discussions. Malcolm Brogdon, quote, fits the Knicks description of an extra ball handler, tradable contract, in the teens or low 20 million, according to the Athletic. But does he also fit in other places? I'm gonna be honest, it just kind of feels like he has to get traded. They've got Scoot, they've got Shaden Sharp, they've got Anthony Simons. There's just no reason to have this guy taking up minutes when you also want guys like Tumani Kamara, Duop Barit. I believe that's how you say his name. Have you seen this guy? He's like this 28-year-old rookie who's balling for Portland. So shout out him. Um,
Yeah, I like Kamara. Yeah, he's good.
yeah. But have you seen I don't know. I don't know if
Seen a couple of his like games, like a few quarters of it in like I mean he knows what he's doing, like on the court.
yeah, but have you seen Duop Reed? Have you seen this
Oh,
guy?
Duop breathe. I haven't seen Duop breathe.
Okay. He's a 27-year-old rookie from South Sudan. On June 14th, he dropped 17 points against the Suns. He hit two threes. He's 7 foot tall.
Sheesh.
Rookie. He's top 15 of all rookies in points per game.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. I just want to make a point and shout him out because I was like, this is a crazy story that this guy has ended up here. Went to Lee College and LSU up until 2018. And then from there just grinded his way through international leagues for the last 6 years.
Good for him.
Yeah, sorry.
Hmm. This is the kind of player that you need on your team too.
Yeah,
It's
pretty lit,
pretty,
honestly. All
yeah.
rookie team, no lie. We've been 27.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I don't know. Like Portland, they got to trade Brogdon. I feel like kind of kind of fits in perfectly into Evan Fournier's cap slot. So I wonder if that's just like, here's Evan Fournier and 4 second round picks. It's like if no
Yeah,
if no one gives Portland a better deal, like they'll probably just do that.
right. And because he gets injured a lot, so if
Yeah.
because he won't be played as many minutes anymore in New York, inevitably he'll go down to like 18 to 22 minutes a
Yeah.
game. Can he give you that like 10 points on very efficient shooting that you need? He's another great plug and play player, so
Yeah.
I think he'd look good. But yeah.
Um, Honestly, there haven't been other rumors with him. I don't really know where else he goes. I think the T-Wolves are an interesting fit for him, as kind of like a bench scorer. Um,
Milwaukee, ironically.
yeah, Milwaukee. If they've got anything left, he's can go
Yeah,
back there, honestly.
yeah.
Um, I guess honestly the Spurs too. He knows how to run a basketball offense.
Mhm.
If I don't know, if Portland's not asking for first round picks, like
And I feel like a team we haven't talked about is the Thunder. Maybe because we don't want them to move too much and like
yeah,
reinvent the wheel. But this now we're kind of getting into territory of guys who wouldn't really mess with the water too much. So they still have a ton of picks. Could they flip one for Brogdon and like a guy or something
yeah. I mean,
if they wanted to?
I don't know their cap situation to be exact because they have some like guys like Kenrich Williams are like signed for like 4 years but on lower cap numbers, and they have some interesting cap stuff there. So,
Maybe
but
Bertans if you're really trying to
oh yeah, 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 yeah. Totally.
get rid of. Because then you can go. I mean, I don't know if you'd want to trade a guy like Isaiah Joe, who's been so good for
Oh,
them,
you
but
can't.
like or like a Trey Man or something like that,
Yeah.
And then some picks. Yeah, dude, Isaiah Joe's been great.
Isaiah Joe's been good. But
Yeah,
no, I think Berton's a great shot. You go Bertons and a first. That gets you Brogdon probably.
yeah, yeah. If it could,
And they've got 25 first to spend over the next decade, so why not?
yeah, they're so chilling, bro. Thunder in such a good spot.
Um, Speaking of a team that's not in a bad spot,
Hmm.
or that is not in a good spot, sorry. The Detroit Pistons, Bojan Bogdanovic, they were shopping him in December. Kind of the rumor was that they were shopping him heavy, and then they didn't really want to sell on him because they were so embarrassed about how bad the team was. And then he got hurt. He's in year one of a 2 year, $40 million contract. He's been really good for like 4 straight years, but he's been injured of late. And speculation is that some of his sore calf stuff, he did have a calf injury at the beginning of the year, but he's been missing games recently out of an abundance of caution. That's the rumor.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So we're looking at another flippable contract, maybe a pick. I don't know if you can ask too much more for this guy. I mean, he's good, but he's getting old. He still averages 20 a game. Good shooter. So, I mean, Lakers? Question mark?
Lakers
Deal?
question mark, Denver question mark as just like
Denver.
a Aaron Gordon like alternate,
Yeah.
if you will.
Thunder? If we're going, I mean,
I like that.
mm, I don't know about the Kings, but could he? I don't know if that's redundant with Harrison Barnes, like even more redundant than Kyle Kuzma.
I
But
mean, it is probably an upgrade on Harrison Barnes, though, honestly.
uh, shooting wise,
To be fair, though, we also haven't seen him in a good basketball situation in a while.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Those Utah days are far behind, but still,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, he's really good in Utah, too.
yeah. It's just been weird that he's been in Detroit for
I
so
mean, he got
long.
his bag. Like,
Yeah, man, good for him.
uh, I'm trying to think.
Boy, on
Yeah. Celtics
he'd
would be
be good
fun.
for a lot of teams.
Celtics
Yeah,
would be fun.
Heat,
Heat.
Celtics. Yeah,
Oh God, Heat. Just another guy to just space the floor while Bam and
yeah,
Jimmy shoot 25 free throws a game.
yeah, yeah.
Shoot. Um, Moving on. Tier four, the trade packages and the trade package adjacent players.
Hmm.
D'Lo, we talked about him a ton. We don't have to cover him too long. It's a contract that's tradable, but it's not really viewed as a valuable trade chip for the Lakers, according to Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. He was acquired at the deadline in that Westbrook Conley Vanderbilt, Beasley, D'Lo 3-team trade. Um, He was extended in the offseason, but his minutes are down this year. He's shooting 47% from the field, so not that bad. 39% from three. Um, but in any trade, he kind of has to be involved. That's why I wanted to cover this. Unless you're moving him and Hachimura, you're probably not getting a high-end guy like Levine. And then in general, I mean, unless you're pairing up Vanderbilt, Vincent, and Reeves in a contract, you just might as well have D'Lo replacing salary numbers for those guys. So he's probably out the door.
Yeah, he seems like the one to go. Um, and I mean, it's not like he's also a hooper, so
He's not that
you can
bad.
get value, but I think just the fit for whatever reason seems like he hasn't really been able to help with the offensive woes that the Lakers have. He doesn't seem to fit in there. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
to be fair, this was always the rumor since he signed the contract.
Yeah.
Like they knew
Uh,
what was up.
yeah.
I don't know. He'll just be the guy who gets rerouted somewhere, you know. We'll see. I'm not really like taking bets on where he's going, you know.
Mhm.
Um, moving on. Kings. We talked about them a bunch. Their trade package is Kevon Herter, Harrison Barnes, Kevon. It's not Kevon Looney. Kevin Herter, Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell is 25, year three of his rookie deal. Herter is also 25, but year two of a 4-year, $65 million contract. He's shedding minutes pretty heavily. So is Davion. They're both playing very, very little minutes compared to what they've have previously. And Harrison Barnes, he just signed a 3-year contract, $54 million. But his minutes are the lowest they've been since 2015. I don't know. They really depend on Barnes and Herter. They're the fourth and sixth most played players on this team, but given the Fox, Sabonis, Murray trio, just makes sense that those guys are out the door, and I think it's very probable that they are.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have too much to add to your takes. I think we know who Harrison Barnes is. Kevin Herter. If he can reclaim his form, then that's like kind of a tough punch that the Kings might have wanted to pull. Overall, if you can go get a guy that's good enough, you make this trade, I think. Maybe you hold on to Kevin Herter if you can. Dang, that name is messing me up because I do think it's Kevon. I think it's spelled like Kevon Looney,
Really?
but I think it's like the Christian Brown kind of situation.
It's not.
It's not, it's spelled normally, Kevin.
Yeah.
But is it Kevon Herter? Why do we think it's Kevon? I don't think that comes from nowhere. So,
I think it's
Spittin Hoops, stay tuned. We'll be on this. I'll come
you just
back.
see us cutting back immediately.
Yeah, yeah,
We just found out. It's like us in 3 years.
yeah. When he's on like the
We're
Timberwolves.
with Kevon Herter.
Yeah. Or with Kevon Herter, this side. Anyway, um, but I mean, if you can go get a guy, yeah, I think then you have to probably make this deal. Cool
I
little pack.
agree. Last trade package, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, Bogdanovich. Hunter's in year one of a $90 million 4-year deal that he signed before last season as the end of his rookie extension approached. He's been linked to the Cavs because every wing in the NBA is linked to the Cavs. That's just, with this Hawks rebuild, everyone is getting rumored to be moved. Who will be moved? I mean, we'll see. DeAndre Hunter is still really young, so I'm not sold on him moving, but I'm pretty sold on Clint Capella probably moving year one of a 2-year, $45 million deal. They've got his replacement in house. He's 29 years old, so just hand the keys over to Okongwu, and it's gonna be fine there, right? And then Bogdanovich, year one of a 4-year, $68 million deal. He's been linked to a lot of teams, but he could bring in a lot of value hypothetically. This is a really efficient scorer who's not atrocious defensively, and he's been really good throughout his whole career. He could bring in a first round pick or two.
He was voted as Serbia's Mr. Basketball or whatever recently, which is crazy. Uh, but you're right.
That's
Like
funny.
he is really good. He's really good. When he played the Celtics last year in the playoffs, he was damn good. So if they can Yeah, you see that? If they
I
get
just looked it up. Yeah.
crazy, bro. Yeah, shout out. I don't know.
Sorry, Jokic. Move
Yeah,
over.
yeah, mid. Um, I put that above an MVP, Finals MVP. But if you can get off Sadiq Bey instead of Bogdan, I try to hold on to him if I'm the Hawks. I think he's really good.
I mean,
That being said, he's a great chip.
Bay is just younger. That's the thing. I think that's why they'll tend to stay that way. But I kind of tend to agree with you. It's not like the Hawks aren't going to be making any big name free agent signings anytime soon, unless they really clean house. And it's like at that point, Bogdanovich is just like he's a pretty good player on a team friendly deal. Just keep him around.
Yeah.
He'll probably have value next year or in the year after.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think he's really good. I honestly, he's having like a low key career year.
Yeah, he's
Shooting
really good.
90 from the field, 37. Not a great overall shooter, like you're saying, but he's good, man. He's
I
been
mean,
healthy.
and look at DeAndre Hunter too. If you look, dude, this is a team, this Hawks team. If you just looked at them on paper, you would think that they were disgusting. DeAndre Hunter is shooting 40% from three. He's only played 24 games, right? So that is one thing, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
Regardless, I think that rounds out our
Mm,
pretty in-depth trade deadline preview.
pretty good.
Yeah, we'll move on to our actual section of the podcast.
Wait, real quick. Can we talk about the Jerry Krause thing before we hop to other stuff?
Yeah, sure. You want to do it now?
Yeah. Um, yeah, add into this. I just found this kind of distasteful for people who don't know. The Bulls were had like a Ring of Honor sort of ceremony recently, reliving their old days because the new days are not fun. And they brought in Jerry Krause. This to me felt like a situation where a bunch of Twitter people went to the game and they had all seen The Last Dance. So they hear Jerry Krause and they think, oh, this is an evil guy. And it was despicable, bro. They're booing him, they're booing his wife. And this is a guy that had a huge impact in making your team fantastic. Yeah, he blew it up at the end of the tenure. You still won 6 chips thanks to a lot of what he did. He's one of the best executives or general managers or president or whatever his role was. He's one of the greatest in NBA history, and I found that just rather crass. So,
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly. I mean, Jordan wins the narrative battle, but
of course, as he
and
should.
it's in watching the show, you knew what was going on in the moment, especially I think for us who kind of understand the NBA, and you knew Jordan was trying to put a lot of that blame on Krause. Um, it's disappointing to see to what extent he won by. I think for us, where
Yeah,
we can see the what Jordan was doing, and we can appreciate the Last Dance while not taking the Krause hate to heart. Um,
right.
yeah, it was pretty disappointing. They really should be booing Reinsdorf. I don't know.
No, right. Especially with his wife there and she's on the thing. Like that was messed up, bro.
He's a dead man, and the only thing he did was wrong your basketball team, right? Like this is not like
Yeah.
this is not some sort of humanitarian situation. And the way he
Exactly.
wronged your basketball team was building a team that won 6 championships. And I know he had Michael Jordan, and that helps. He still won.
Of course. Right. And also to your point, he's a dead man. He can't speak on his perspective. And you had Reinsdorf in there, and he was painted out as a fine guy, kind of neutral, honestly. Not great, not bad, as I recall. But he could have paid Scottie Pippen more money. He could have stepped in and told Krause, no, I'm sorry. We like this. And Michael Jordan was still the best player in the NBA, in my opinion, probably when he won his sixth ring. We can go ahead and build again with Michael Jordan and more guys. And Reinsdorf does have that at the end of the day. So I don't know. I think that was just overall the whole way that narrative played out was kind of lame. Um, and just not classy at all from the Bulls fans. I don't know if the Celtics fans would be any better if we didn't like a GM, but just, if you're gonna boo somebody who's dead, go find something else to do.
Yeah. And yeah, booing people are actively doing something,
Sure.
if you're voicing your displeasure with your current state of your team, that's fine. But like, I don't know. There was something so unaware of that whole situation. That was
Yeah.
insane. Regardless, so we want to talk about the MVP race. Right now it's kind of a semi-clear five-man race. You got Embiid, Shea, Luca, Nikola Jokic, Giannis, all being your top five right now. And at the end of today's games, we've actually got Embiid and Jokic kind of equal around plus 250. Shea behind that at plus 300, Luca plus 700, Giannis plus 800. And finally, the person trailing him and the only person closer than Ant Edwards who's at plus 4,000 is Jason Tatum at plus 2,900. Um, Anthony, any big takeaways from this so far? Any favorites in your mind?
Um, you would Luca this year for MVP?
I think I did. I think I did.
Yeah. And I had Tatum. Um, so right now I don't think either of our picks are looking great. I think Tatum, best player on the best team situation, but like the team is really good and his stats aren't out of this world. I think if he had like a stretch where you go, "Oh my Lord, here's that guy," then that's a different conversation. Um, Shea, I think he'd be cool, but I don't think he's quite there yet. Like you just have to have done something in the postseason enough times. I think Giannis is as per usual is getting the short end of the stick here. Um, so it looks like it's Jokic and Embiid once again. And right now, Embiid is playing absolutely unbelievable. I think he's on a 12, either 12 or 17. I think 12 game streak of 30 and 10, which is like one of the longest streaks in history beside behind Wilt. Um, he does look like the most dominant player in the league. I'll say that. Like he really looks like just his control, his touch, his mid-range game, the three. It feels like he's putting it all together. He's averaging 35, one of the highest scoring margins this century. Like right behind Kobe, right behind James Harden. So I think he's been super impressive. And I get the slander about, dude, like, why don't you make the Eastern Conference Finals? Totally valid. And if this was a regular season award, not or if this was a postseason award too, LeBron would have a lot more MVPs. MJ would have a lot more MVPs. Um, I think there are guys where every single year you go, it's not. But I mean, yeah, Embiid looks great, and he just outdueled Jokic in this game that they played. So that's always going to be big.
I mean, given he's missed 10 games already, though, I'm pretty
Yeah,
nervous that he's not going to qualify.
that's a
And
good
I
point.
actually think in a world where the Thunder finish in the first seed and the Nuggets finish the third seed or lower, Shea could easily pip Jokic for this MVP spot. I think Shea's in a really good situation to do so, where he's clearly the best player on the team. He's averaging 30 plus.
Hmm.
Um, I really think there's a route there.
There's a route.
That said, Embiid has to continue this, and Jokic has to not get like if Jokic cannot get any better compared to this if Embiid wants to win. I think the voters have a pretty extreme voter fatigue over Embiid. Even though they've only given him the MVP once. Obviously the lack of playoff success is tough. Um, and honestly, I kind of tend to feel the same way. I kind of want my MVP to have shown me something in the playoffs previously. I know it's a regular season award, but the playoffs also help you decide who's the most impactful player, who's the most valuable player at times. Um, so yeah, it's difficult.
They were showing a stat where his plus minus the Sixers plus minus with Embiid on the court is like 14 right now, and without it's 4, which isn't bad. Um, but I think those are all the factors. You're bringing in that question about what about playoff success, and we keep seeing him underperform in the playoffs, which makes it hard to want to go for him in the regular season.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment, Embiid has been the most impressive player in the league this year. You raise a great point about the missed games because if he's
Yep.
eliminated, this changes so many odds. Um, but we got a whole season to go.
I mean,
Have
if he's
some.
already missed 10 and what there's 50 games, 40 games left in the season, right? Something like that.
He's on pace to miss.
He's on pace to miss 10. Okay, he's already missed five.
No, no,
six.
no, 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 no. You're right. No, no, he's missed 10.
He's
He's on
missed
pace
10.
to miss 20.
So he's on pace to miss 20, right?
Yeah, he's on pace to miss out.
I mean, to give him credit, right? Previous 2 seasons, he played more than 65 games. He did miss extended periods of time during
Yeah.
those seasons, so he usually figures it out. And also they rest him. They do a really good job of if they're winning by a ton, they'll sub him back in for 4 minutes, where so he can score 20 points in a 4 minute span to pad his stats, and then they'll sub him out and rest him for the rest of the fourth quarter. If anyone watched, I think it was what, Sixers Pistons a few nights ago, something ridiculous was going on.
Oh, dude, against bad teams, look out.
Dude. Which I'm half memeing about, but he really does. He literally sub back in a blowout. If like they'll be up 20 in the third quarter, he'll sub back in and just start stat padding. Which
Mm.
also is it stat padding if it's the third quarter? Like, no, right? That's the thing. It's not really stat padding, even if you're winning by a ton in the third quarter, like it's the third quarter, but um, you know,
Yeah.
that doesn't fit in my agenda. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. If you're good enough to blow a team out, you kind of get to do what you want afterwards.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, but yeah,
Um, Anything else we want to talk about in the MVP discussion, or I guess can we move on to the next award?
just give my man Tatum some more love, please. That's all.
Okay, you got to give Ant some more love. He's as close to Tatum is to Giannis.
That's a crazy take.
I mean, according the MVP odds, I was going by MVP odds.
I don't care about those odds. That is not the case in real life. And we've seen Tatum not outduel, but beat Giannis in a playoff series. And I don't know. But Anthony Edwards is good. Maybe we'll talk about him in a second.
Honestly,
But
I don't even hate that take actually. That Tatum should be higher and Giannis should be lower on the MVP because if we're grading Embiid by the but Giannis has won a chip 3 years ago.
Giannis has won the chip. And they just did like destroy the Celtics
Okay.
recently. So
Okay. I was
all
gonna
right.
say, and Giannis doesn't have that much help, but that was gonna spoil one of my All-Star picks. So we'll get right into it. All-Star voting. We got our second return on January 11th. The West right now looking like for the starters is LeBron, Durant, Jokic, Luka, Steph. In the East, Giannis, Embiid, Tatum, Halliburton, and Trey. Don't think it's that bad,
Yeah.
honestly. The voting, like. I disagree with a few of them, and we'll get to that. But for roster construction, just for awareness purposes, the way the starters work, both conferences, it's going to be east to west this year. In the past, we've seen some fantasy drafts, but that's not going to be happening. It's going to be 3 front court and 2 backcourt starters, 2 backcourt, 3 frontcourt, and 2 wildcard reserves for each side. So 7 players on each side. You should probably anticipate an injury replacement or two. But yeah.
Let's do it.
You want to start us off?
Yes. So first off, I want to reiterate your sentiments. I think who the fans have voted for is fine. I really don't have much of an issue with anything that they've done because this is an all-star game. And so by definition, it's who do you want to see the most on the court? And this is who the fans want to see the most. Um, but unlike the fans, we are a bit more educated. And so they did pretty well. The only difference I would say in the East for my starter is take Trey out and put in Jalen Brunson instead. Fully understand and respect that Trey is having such a great season. That being said, I think Brunson's capacity to lead a team has just been proven to be more effective at this point. So that's who the player that we're going to reward. Plus, it's New York, and that's the Mecca, and an all-star point guard is just looks so great. So I think he would look better in an all-star starter uniform. So that's my switch for the West,
Uh,
for the East.
yeah,
Uh,
and we agree there.
okay.
That's my only switch in the
Oh,
East
okay.
is
All
for
right.
starters.
Do you want to say your West starters?
Yeah. In my West, actually, I think I have a few changes. Uh, Obviously, LeBron is a starter from the Lakers right now, according to voting. Personally, I would put Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis has been better than LeBron. He's not been injury prone. He's been incredibly consistent. My opinion, probably the best defense player in the league this year, which will fly under the radar because the Lakers, they've overall not been too good, but LeBron and AD have been.
Yeah.
So I've got AD there. and honestly, I'm not tripping too hard. You put a LeBron as starter, AD as starter. I mean, they're pretty interchangeable in terms of value. Um, but outside of that, I've got Nikola Jokic as another front court spot, and I actually have my other spot being Kawhi Leonard. Um, in my opinion, I think he should get a lot of credit, Kawhi Leonard. He's averaging 24 points per game. He's shooting 52% from the field, 42% from three, while honestly playing a lot better defense than he has in previous seasons, even though he is a former Defensive Player of the Year. And I also really want to reward the Clippers for having been pretty much in the gutter up until the James Harden trade, where James Harden comes in. He's only scoring 17 points per game. He's not scoring 22, 25 or something. And it's really Kawhi's actually stepped up during that time. And I want to reward him for that. They're fourth in the West right now, and he's probably the Clippers' only all-star in my mind. And I think he should be a starter. Outside of that, I think Shea should start in front of Steph.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
Luka's the other backcourt spot. Yeah.
Right. So you got Luka, Shea, Jokic, Kawhi, and AD.
Yeah.
So replace LeBron, Durant, and Steph.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm close there. I keep LeBron just because then that's where my personal bias is wanting to see LeBron in the All-Star game comes in.
I can't hate on that. And he's also been so good too. Like,
Right. So like you said, sort of interchangeable, and AD will be a reserve for me. Spoiler alert. But I'm with you. Take out Durant. Even though he's fun to watch, I don't think he's played enough games, and he has really not helped the Suns. I mean, it's kind of ironic because the Suns and the Lakers have kind of like identical records, but for some reason, KD does not attract that same value of like the fine you can still have a LeBron All-Star nod compared to LeBron does. So I'm with you. I like Kawhi. I think he's been playing really, really good and really good. Almost like they could make some noise in the Western Conference. Good. So he
I
looks
agree.
great. And then I'm with you with the backcourt. Luka and Shea have been the best two guards in the West and honestly in the league. So
It's been, yeah, I totally agree. I think they've by far been the two best guards. They're probably, in terms of this season, I mean, according to the MVP ladder, right? They're both in the top five, right? So there you go.
okay,
I guess we
Ben,
go to bench now. Do you want to go? Let's go to West again, just because we have that fresh right now.
sure.
Um, on my bench, so the three guys who I moved out of the starting lineup, I have them on my bench. LeBron, KD, and Steph. But I'm gonna add Ant Edwards. I'm gonna add De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, and Lauri Markkanen.
Mm,
So that's my all-star lineup. So Steph and Edwards, Durant, LeBron, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Lauri Markkanen. That's the seven bench players. And then as the starters, I got AD, Kawhi, Nikola Jokic, Luka, and Shea. Sabonis, Zion, Şengün, and Bane all miss out for me, but I think Sabonis would be the first injury replacement. Um, Şengün or Zion being the second.
mm. Um, yeah, I see that. I actually don't have Markin in there, but I'm close to you. I have Steph, I have Ant, Durant, 80 instead of LeBron. Fox has been unbelievable this year. And then Sabonis has also been unbelievable. And he's piloting them so well. So I have to actually put him ahead, personally, ahead of Laurie, just because even though Laurie has helped the Jazz get back up to 500, which is in his own right very impressive. I think Laurie's a bit closer for me for injury replacement compared to Sabonis. Just unbelievable stats this year, leading the league in rebounds and averaging like 8 assists and 20 points per game. Unbelievable. Um,
My thing is with Sabonis, I totally hear that, and he should be an all-star. He will be probably in my setup due to an injury of some sort. But I kind of want to reward Lauri Markkanen. They only have one less win than the Kings, and I'm already making De'Aaron Fox an all-star, right? And Laurie, his stats are a lot different than Sabonis, right? Like he's a scorer, he's an efficient scorer from deep, etc. But I think his improved defense and as a team leader that is pulling his team to the playoffs right now, that's just why I'm gonna go to bat a little bit for Laurie. I want to give a shout out to Şengün though. I really want to make a spot for Şengün on this list.
oh, I
It's
didn't finish my list, bro. He's on mine.
oh, he's on yours?
He's on mine.
Oh,
Yeah, he
my
was on
bad.
mine. Yeah. So, but you shout him out, and then I'll say why he's on my list too.
No, I mean I just want to give him a shout out. I think he's been really good, and I couldn't find space. But now I'm curious to hear who you left off.
So I actually left off Book.
Ooh,
And this comes to this is just my personal curiosity in him being in the All-Star game. I have Book as my first IR injury replacement. Um, so that's fine. I just have not. I don't think the Suns have also warranted two All-Stars. With the same logic that we're using.
yeah.
And for me, Book is less interesting to watch. Sengun has been incredible, almost 22 a game, 9 assists per eight boards per game, 5 assists per game. He's kind of dropped off a little bit recently, but still, I think he's a guy who is going to be an All NBA guy in my mind in a few years. And he's really been the best player on a Houston Rockets team that's kept itself close to the play-in. So, shout out to Sengun, and yeah, he rounds out my final part.
That's spicy. I mean, personally, I have one of my reasons I also didn't want to start KD actually was because I feel like Booker is the more influential player on that Suns team. But if you say Durant's more entertaining, I mean
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that. Also Durant's stats have been off the charts. That was another thing. Like for me, actually, I was at the back end of my bench and I'm thinking about like Markkanen, Fox, or Durant. Like if who can I drop for Şengün? That was the way I looked at it. And so I
Mm.
just couldn't. But yeah, I think Şengün's a great pick. I think of all the new guys, he's probably the most deserving.
hmm
Um, I really can't remember if Ant Edwards was an all-star last year for some reason.
He was. He was a
Okay.
replacement.
Yeah, so he'll be the only new guy on the in the West.
Sengun
In the
would.
West. Yeah, Şengün will be the only new guy.
Yeah, he'd be the only new guy.
Um, cool. I mean, I don't think we're disagreeing that much. Also, another small shout out to Desmond Bane, scoring like 24 a
Mhm.
game on a team that's terrible. He's like the only player that every other team gets to double team him and he's still hooping. So I actually had him as like my fourth in line.
Mhm.
We won't get there though because
Yeah, this is not enough. The only other guy that I want to shout out is because he will not be an all-star once again, and he will continue to be in the damn this guy should be an all-star level conversations is Jamal Murray, who if things go this way, like might end up being the best player in NBA history to never be an all-star. Um, I don't think his stats are out of this world as per normal. I think he's averaging like 20 and 5, but we know what happens every single time the playoffs start. So this dude turns into Devin Booker level good, if not better. So really just disappointed, but shout out to him. I don't think he merits an all-star, even though he'd be fun to watch, but that's a whole different conversation.
ironically, this has probably been his best year yet.
Right, right. Yeah,
And
that's
I,
wise.
I think the injury at the beginning of the season also kind of ruined his momentum there a little bit. It's also like, dude, the league's so deep. If we're handing out two all-stars, you better be really, really good.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Well, if you're
Ironically, we're handing
yeah.
out two all-stars to teams that are fringe playoff teams in the West, but I think those teams are a little bit circumstantial, like in terms of the way they're built.
Yeah. Well, also, like, dude, this is ridiculous. This is not a part. I don't have. This is the take I'm gonna give you is not a participation trophy take. They need to expand the number of all-star slots. 15 people are on a roster, right? So why can't we have 15 people automatically and then throw on injured reserves? They've had 12 people per all-star team since 1947. So, and that was like when there were 8 teams. So there were some trash ass all-stars back in the day. So if like the take is like it's going to water down the quality of all-star,
It was already
like
watered down.
it was terrible.
Yeah.
And the guys that are going to get snubbed is just ridiculous. Like there's so many guys who like we won't even talk about that. Like obviously John Morant's not going to play, right? But like that maybe that's not the best example. But there's a lot of guys who in the West and in the East deserve to be great. It's just like we shouldn't be whittling down this. Like this is not the All NBA.
Yeah. We haven't even discussed like someone who's not even on the All-Star radar, frankly, I think, is Paul George.
Exactly.
He's been just as good as he's been for like six of his other All-Star seasons. His stats look pretty much identical to his stats this year. And this year
Right.
he's been even more efficient on less shots, and they're fourth in the
Mhm.
West. And it's like he will just not sniff the All-Star game because he's surrounded by a bunch of talent and I don't know. We'll get to the East, but I'm curious to see if you have someone in the East, and maybe I'll make a further argument about Paul George.
Okay. Um, my guys in the East. So the two backup guards are for me Dame and Maxey as
Ooh.
my first two backup guys. Dame partially for the legacy. Like that was a sick shot that he hit a couple of days ago to win the game against the Kings. And then Maxey's just been amazing, right? I think he's your MIP. So those two. Then in my front court, I have Bam has been unbelievable. Paolo, and then Porzingis is my second Celtic All-Star. They should have two All-Stars if the Sixers are going to have two All-Stars and if the Bucks are going to have two All-Stars. So I think Porzingis has just been so effective when he's healthy. And then I have Trae Young and Donovan Mitchell as the two wild card guys. Jaylen Brown would be an injury replacement if need be. Um, Other guys I thought about,
Did
Derek
you
White.
say Donovan Mitchell?
I did say Donovan Mitchell.
Okay, okay, okay.
So,
Sorry.
um, Derek White would be a great. I mean, I think the quality of how good he is in short minutes, but I just don't think he's going to make the All Star team. Should he is a different question. Um, Oh, another shout out to a guy. Randall is another like won't make it in my mind or shouldn't make it. And then another guy I just want to shout out like guards that we're talking about that are really good is Kyrie Irving is not going to be an all-star,
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
But he's absolutely unbelievable this season.
Interesting. Well, I'll give you my
Okay.
Eastern Conference
Yes.
takes. So
Yes.
I
So
got Mac. I got yeah. So
Maxi. Yeah, let me just round it out. So Dame, Maxi, Porzingis, Paolo, Bam, Trey, Donovan Mitchell.
so I think we'll only just grant one person here, but I do have a bigger take. Maxi, Trey Young, and then Bam, Paolo, D. Mitch, Dame. Unfortunately, I did not want to pick Dame actually. And then Scotty Barnes actually. I think Scotty Barnes should be an all-star. I think he's been really, really good this year,
Oh.
especially on a team. It's been really tumultuous up and down. He's been efficient, passing the
Mhm.
ball well, scoring the ball well. So I got Scotty Barnes as an all-star actually.
It's a good take.
Interestingly enough, I wanted to give the Celtics a different guy, and I just didn't because I was struggling so hard to pick between all of them, and
Yeah.
honestly don't. I don't want to subscribe to the whole thing where it's like, oh, if everyone else has got two players in All-Star, we should too. Because like, frankly, like I think there's a difference in quality between like Tyrese Maxey and Kristaps Porzingis. But honestly, I kind of wanted to put Derek White there instead of Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard, this has just been an off year for him. He's been shooting the ball a ton, so his points per game stats look pretty great, but the percentages haven't been good, frankly. The Bucks overall, they've been they're obviously a really good NBA team. They're 28 and 12. But I I didn't want to reward the Bucks with a second Eastern Conference All-Star, and I kind of wanted to reward the Celtics, and I really wanted to put Derek White there. I think Derek White has probably been the Celtics' second best player this year, which is a take that I laughed at probably a month ago. And he is incredibly efficient. He's the best defensive player, and he also he's the only decisive player with the ball, which is fantastic because the Celtics have a bunch of guys who are indecisive with the ball. So you just get this guy who Derek White goes, okay, screw it. Like I'm dumping the ball into Porzingis and I'm running to a corner. I'm running to the other one. Like I don't know. Watching Derek White is a treat. And I really want to put him here. I think he should be the number one injury replacement. And then the number two injury replacement, surprisingly, I actually have DeMar DeRozan. That's kind of just for the all-star aspect, and I think he should get a lot of credit for still putting up 24 a game, as he does every year. So,
Consistently.
yeah. But further, think again, this kind of shows you, Porzingis probably should have made the All-Star. Or honestly, Jaylen Brown is someone who really comes to mind where it's like if there's 15 slots, he's probably in this without thinking about it. But um, it's pretty quirky situation with the slots. And another part of me wonders if we could just abolish East West and just
Mm-hmm.
do it with
Choose
the
the
whole
best player.
league. Um, but they won't do that. I would love that though. Like Paul George should be a all-star before Scotty Barnes for sure.
Right.
This year, as much as I think Scotty Barnes has been really, really good. Um,
Right.
but he
They
won't
should
be.
both be all stars.
Yeah. And Scotty
Yeah.
Barnes actually probably will be at this rate.
Mhm.
So
Um, I just like to say before the season started, I had a hot take about Derek White. I think we might have to go dig it up, but I said Derek White will be the second most impactful player on the Celtics. We need to go find that clip, but it's somewhere out there. And I know I said that, and I'm glad that it's panned out to be that way. Um, the only reason I don't have him as an all-star starter is because sneakily there's just a lot of good guards in the East this year, and I just don't think he'll get the votes. Um,
that's valid.
but I am with you in terms of second best player,
I don't
second
think
most impactful.
I still think he's been better than Dame. I don't know. I wanted to put them. I don't know. It's one of those where I want to put him ahead of Dame,
Yeah, bro.
but I get it. And there's a reason why I didn't put him ahead of Dame. Like I also I get it. It's Dame. He's putting up 27 a game. He's
Yeah,
on the second best team in the East. Like it is
yeah.
what it is. It's not. I don't love the fact that the Bucks have two All Stars and the Celtics don't only have one in my setup, but that's just what I can do it with.
How grateful should we be that this is not like the 2014-15 season where Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver made an all-star team?
Dude, they had like extra
And
slots. That's how you know that that talent was they had dude, the league was shit. Holy
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, especially the East. So the fact that Derek White's not making an all-star in a year where Kyle Korver did is crazy. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And like we're not neither of us are arguing for like the MVP vote to be expanded and we
yeah,
should do an East-West MVP and then everyone can get MVP votes. Like I feel like
right,
expanding the
exactly.
All-Star game, which has not been expanded since 1950, since before either of our parents were born. Like,
Yes.
like I don't know.
Before Martin Luther King's "I Had a Dream" speech is crazy. Like
Very
20
top,
years before.
very topical. It was
Very topical.
very topical. Very
Yeah,
nice.
thank you. Um, damn. Yeah.
I got nothing else on my end. What about you?
Oh yeah, this is good. Yeah, nothing else, Joe. Just exciting. For those who are tuning in today on January 16th, there are 3 games on, and all the games are quality matchups between playoff contenders. Sixers, Denver, battle of the big men. So won't necessarily go into who won there, but you can check it out for yourselves. Kings, Suns, great matchup, and then OKC and Clippers. That's a game I'm gonna hop onto after this actually and check out the end of it. So
Yeah.
it's a tight
I,
one.
I'm excited. That's gonna be fun for sure. Like Shea back. I don't know. Shea giving the Clippers 50 would be lit tonight
That would be
as like a screw y'all. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But hell yeah, good shit, Max. Nice work,
You gonna take us away?
killing it. Yeah, baby. Yeah, love you all. Thank you for being here. And until then, we're just gonna be chilling here, spitting little hoops, baby. Come on, y'all, excuse me now.
Peace out.